The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade. Welcome to The Unfiltered by Jade, where we educate, empower, and entertain. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, download, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget.
Welcome back to The Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with here one of my favorite persons. Her name is Dr. Joan Wright-Good. And we're here to speak about her book, The Miseducation of Widowhood. 10 Things Every Wife Should Know About Managing, Coping, and Dealing with the Journey. And we're interested to know about all of this from your experience. The book is very interesting. You're going to cry. You're going to have some insights. But we have the author here, and she's going to dive into some things with us. So, hi, Joan. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm happy that you're here. We're talking about your book. I'm excited about your book.
I know. I'm thinking by now I should just have a room in your house and just move in, right? 'Cause I'm a
Why not?
resident guest.
Why not? Resident here. Why not? All right. So, for people who don't know you, can you just tell them about you? Introduce yourself to them, please.
Of course. First of all, if you don't know me, where have you been?
Where have you been?
Okay, let me just get off of my prideful state a little bit. Well, as you said, my name is Joan Wright-Good. I have a PhD in ministry, so that makes me Dr. Joan Wright-Good. You don't have to use a doctor at all. But I am an author, I am a publisher, and I am all things business. I believe I was called for such a time as this. I help entrepreneurs who have brilliant ideas to profit from their ideas. So whether that is to start a business, to invest, to write a book, whatever it is, I help them to put the ideas together and to monetize that, to leverage it, to scale it, to brand it, to market it, and to ensure that they are using everything that God has given them to first sustain themselves, to sustain others, to sustain the kingdom, and to leave a legacy.
Mm-hmm. And I second that with her. She is everything she said and more. And very consistent in what she does.
Thank you.
So you can go check her out, most definitely. So we're gonna jump into it. Joan, you need more than a tribe. What does that mean?
Well, listen, first of all, before we talk about the tribe, one of the reasons why you know what, let me not jump ahead because it's your interview.
No, man, go ahead.
I'm
Go
thinking
ahead.
you probably will ask that question. I was going to say why I wrote the book, but no,
I was gonna, but you can't start. You can't start.
let me answer your question. Guys, you see why I need to move into your house?
Oh my goodness.
But one of the reasons why I said we need more than a tribe, a lot of times people tell you that, your tribe is your community and those people that will be there for you. But I tend to think that you need more than vibe in a tribe. You know, people think that those are the people who vibe with you, who tell you good things, who comfort you. Sometimes you actually need people who will ruffle your feathers.
Very
Sometimes
true.
you need people who will bring you to the edge. Sometimes you need people who will allow you to pause and for you to realize that at the end of the day, people are not your problem.
Jesus.
People are not your problem, right? And so sometimes when people disappoint us, it's not really that people disappoint us. And I talk about that in the book, The Miseducation of Widowhood. It's the expectation that we put on people.
Jesus.
So therefore, if you know, you may say, you know what, I have a friend, and that friend disappointed me so much because when I was going through this, they weren't there. But who told you that that person was your friend?
Jesus.
Sometimes we put a higher expectation on people than they put on the level of friendship that we have. As a matter of fact, I have a perfect example. I remember I became very friendly with this person, and in my head, because at the time I had very low self esteem, so anybody who paid me any amount of attention, I was happy for that. Hence why I jumped into a relationship just because somebody said you're beautiful. I'm like, let's go, you know,
Understood.
let's do it. But I had such high expectation. I thought we were great friends, and when this person had to move, and so when the person moved, I was like, haven't heard from her. I thought, we would still be, I thought she would, at least say, hey, I've arrived. And I realized that wasn't happening. But after a while, I realized that that person saw me as an acquaintance. The person
Wow.
saw me as an assignment, so to speak. And this is
Mm-mm.
why people come into our lives for different reasons. Because sometimes people come into our lives as an assignment, and we end up marrying the assignment.
Listen
And
to me,
then,
man.
and
Stop
then
this now.
and then when we have all this homework to do, we're
Jesus.
wondering, why am I working so hard? Because that was an assignment, that was not a spouse. And so you definitely need more than a vibe in your tribe. You need to make sure that these people are called to you. You need to make sure that these people are longevity people, meaning it doesn't matter what happened, they will still be there. They'll stick and stay. They're not going anywhere. They're making you know that you're valuable.
Yes.
There was this relationship guru that passed. His name was Kevin Samuel, where he was telling people who was valuable and who wasn't. And I denounced all of that, because in God's eyes, we all are valuable. See, men
Yes.
look on the outside, what you have, what you drive, what's your credit score, how much money you have in the bank, who are your friends, to decide if you're valuable or not. When God created us, he created all of us in his image. We were the only one. When God was creating things, he did it on his own. When he got to man, he said, let us make man. It means
Yes.
he needed community. He was showing us that, listen, what he's about to create is going to shatter everything that he has done before. Everything that he created that he called good, this was going to be gooder. you know
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
so we can't allow people to tell us how much we're valuable or not. We all are. And so you have to know that the people in your tribe, they have to see that for you. They have
Yes.
to see that you're high value, whether or not you're even in their league. And so that was what I meant when I said you need more than a vibe in your tribe, honey.
Listen to me. So you woke up this morning high energized and ready to take us on. I see that. So before you just touch on other people's toes, tell us what is the purpose of the book? Because I realize in the book you really knock a lot of things down that people had, and quote unquote expectations that we had. You knock it in the
Yes.
book. So what was a purpose to knock us all down and say, hey, start from scratch again? What was the purpose of the book?
No, well, you know that as people of the word, WORD,
Hmm.
everything that happens to us happens for a reason. And so one would think that, oh, you just lost your husband, so you should be in mourning for years. Um, Everything that has happened in my life, I'm at the stage where I see it for what it is. And so I usually I usually take the bad, because that's what the Bible says. He'll take the bad and he'll make it for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So
Yes.
there's a difference. If you love him and you're called, then nothing bad happens to you. Lessons happens. And so that's what whenever I come into a classroom and there's a lesson that is taking place, as Jesus told Paul, now go strengthen the brethren. I'm doing that, Peter, sorry. So that's what I do with my lessons. So the miseducation of widowhood is actually a practical guide for women everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're entering a relationship, in a relationship, or coming out of a relationship, because we're all of us are in those three places. You're either entering, in, or out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it was, even though it was published with widows in mind, the mandate was to educate all women,
Yes.
about conversations that we need to have. Because if we don't educate ourselves about the facts, who is?
Yeah.
It's just like you go to entry level school, preschool, kindergarten, primary, whatever level they call it, high school, middle
Mm-hmm.
school, college, and people don't really teach you how to make money. So you
Yeah.
have all this education, and then you come out, and instead of making money, you're owing money. And so
Mm-hmm.
now you have to take it upon yourself to learn financial literacy and financial management. It's the same thing in churches and in other organizations. Nobody teaches you how to be prepared
Listen.
for widowhood. Just in case it happens. It may not
Listen.
happen, but just in case it happened, what do you do? And so they, by the time you say you like a boy, they're asking, okay, when are you gonna get married? And so you get
Mm-hmm.
married, they ask, okay, when you gonna have kids? And so you have kids, and then they're asking, okay, when we're gonna have grandkids? They don't ask the pertinent questions.
Yes.
So this book was to educate women on how to have the uncomfortable conversations, because a lot of these conversations, they're uncomfortable to us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so, even knowing your rights, what are your rights? You have to know your rights as a wife, your rights as a widow. It's pretty much like a play by play book, for those people who are looking for healing or looking for answers, some who are grieving, So, again, nobody can prepare you to be a girlfriend or a wife, or even a widow, but we can help you to answer the questions, to ask the questions, and to even answer them yourself. Because I think there's a point in the book where I mentioned, when you just before you get married, you talk about the marriage. When you're in the marriage, you talk about what married life look like, but nobody talks about what death look like. And if
No.
you don't, some of the things you don't handle in those
Hmm.
in those spaces, you're going to handle it after death. You're going to have to listen, you're going to have to answer the questions and handle the situations after death.
It's the truth, Joan. I believe that we have to go through some things to learn certain lessons.
Yes.
And even reading the book and even seeing how you are, I may add, Joan, that for this, I think I see you as one of the strongest women I've seen going through this situation, and
Thank
you're
you.
still doing the darn thing. Like you probably missed a day or two or a week, but you did not miss steps at all.
Thank
And
you.
even doing the book, I believe that sometimes griefs allow us to know the truth.
Yes.
Because sometimes, if whether it's widowhood, whether it's divorce, whether it's if we never grieve something or we didn't go through
Hmm.
something,
Hmm.
we would not have known the truth about certain things. We won't know the truth about friends. We won't know the truth about finances. We won't know the truth about a lot of things. And
Listen,
it's a hard lesson to learn.
is
And I'm advising people out there, it's best you learn it, but from somebody who has experienced it.
right. Right.
Because the truth is, you have experienced divorce before, you have experienced loss before.
Yes.
So you have experienced, and those two things are hard. Those
It
two
is.
things are hard. The latter is harder, but
It
those two
is.
things are hard. They're grieving situations. And the mere fact that you have gone through both of them, I think you're the best person and you're equipped to actually
Mhm.
tell us how these things actually work.
Yeah. And I said it in the book. I was saying, a lot of times people tell you divorce is like death.
Yes, it is.
It is like it, but when
It
you
is.
experience death, you realize it's two different
Different
things.
things.
Like I said, at least you still get to see the person. You have time to make amend. You have time to, if you have kids with that person, you have time to co-parent. You're still
Mm-hmm.
seeing, sometimes during that time, the heart gets softens, and sometimes you have people who go back to being
Yes.
with that person. But death is final.
Especially when it's sudden.
It's, yeah. When
Listen.
it's sudden, it's final. You can't go back to say,
Hmm.
"I'm sorry, I said this." You can't go back to say, "Okay, okay, no, yeah, you can have the other piece of the hamburger. I was just joking when I said that."
Nope.
It's just so final. And yes, you're going to see them again, depending on where you are, because
Mm-hmm.
that's another assumption we make.
Yes.
Can we talk about assumption?
Oh,
It's another
Jesus.
assumption we make. Oh, we're gonna see them in heaven again.
Oh, we
Says
don't
who?
know.
Says who?
We don't know.
Exactly. So you may never see that person again.
Mind the people them come for you, Joan,
You may
because
never see that person again. Yeah, we like to put wings on everybody who passed.
Lord.
Everybody who passed gangster paradise. There is no such thing. How you live, how you live is how you die. And if
Oh
you
my
did not
God.
live a life consecrated, submitted, and,
To
and,
God.
and
Mm-hmm.
set apart to God, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. You could have preached 7 days a week. You're not got heaven. So
No,
let's stop with
Jesus.
the foolishness where we put everybody in heaven. Nobody knows.
No,
And
Jesus.
even if you see them again, they won't be your husband or your
No, they
wife.
won't.
So that's what I mean when I said we can't compare the two. Death is final. It is final. So even in celebrating somebody's life, you have a lot of remorse, you have a lot of regrets, because when you get married, you marry for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so for forever to cut short, and then it cuts short even when we were having some situations, I'm like, wow. And so like you said, I deal with it the best way I can, but I do have my moments. Like every single time when I hear our wedding song,
Yeah.
everything I'm doing, I have to stop. If I'm driving, I have to stop.
Yeah.
It's crazy, because it takes you back to the place where we were when we said yes to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be careful some of the thought patterns we have, thinking about death and life and all of that. We cannot put wings on everybody, and we
No, we
cannot
can't.
care for anybody. If anything, death reminds you how big God is.
Listen.
It reminds you how big God is and how much you have no control.
And as I said that, I'm thinking about even the vows. I don't think many of us pay attention to the part till death do us part. We
Man,
assume that it's gonna be forever, but we don't actually know.
we don't, and that's a great point that you make, because it's almost as if we just recite them. When you just say a memory verse, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't hold as much potency until the thing happened.
Jesus.
What does "until death do us part" mean? That's a serious covenant that you're making,
Yes.
because when death comes, I mean, are you really ready to be done apart?
It's because we assumed it's gonna be forever.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
because we have that assumption and that expectation, when
Mm-hmm.
it comes suddenly, we're like, wait, I wasn't expecting this. Why is this
Exactly.
happening? Yeah.
And
It,
some people get angry with God.
yes, I
Like,
was about to say that we
yeah.
some people
And I'm
get
like, but you,
angry.
you, you said the vows. So
Yeah, but they
why are you
didn't,
not
they didn't
angry?
mean, they didn't think about it. That's the truth.
But it's the same. This is the same way we treat each other. We say things we don't mean. In relationships, we say things we don't mean. And so when trouble comes, then that's when you, like you said, and I said it in the book, you truly know people, you truly know even your own purpose, you know how you are, not in the good times, but in trouble.
Yes.
In trouble. If you want to know a real person, check out who they are in trouble. Don't show me who they are when they have billions of dollars, and they can go on the jet, and they have lots of friends and a million followers. We don't know who that person is.
No.
Put that person in trouble,
You see everything.
and that's the real person that comes out.
Mercy.
And so this is why I can tell people, me and fakeness, The truth
No.
is like oil and because my entire life has been
Nope.
one of trouble.
Oh yeah.
So I have had to make sure that I cross my T's and I dot my I's. And it was just last night I was talking to someone and I was saying to them, a lot of times people I believe I'm standoffish or aloof or I don't mix and mingle. It's because of how I have to be in terms of
Ah,
my Christian faith, right? I'm very approachable. I'm very down to earth. Anybody who knows me know this. But at the same time, I'm not for everybody. I'm not going to
no.
be in every crowd. You're not
No.
going to see me at these, certain things because I know, I know that God's hand is on me. I know the expectation. The Bible says, "To whom much is given, much
Much is
is
required.
required."
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're not going to be judged for what you don't know.
True.
You're going to be judged for what you know. And so for
True.
those of us, this is a challenge. For those of us who have heard, as long as you came in earshot of truth
Hmm.
and you continue to do the things that makes God angry, the Bible tells you it's a terrible thing to be
It
found
is.
in the hand of an angry God.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So, mhm.
Listen, listen. We're gonna touch on the other heavy topic, which is money in marriage.
Yes, let's talk about it.
That is I'm ready for this. Money in marriage, how important it is. What role does that play, whether negative, positively? Make we know everything.
Money in any relationship is very important, especially in marriage. One of the things, money is the most shunned topic. Money and sex is the most shunned topic
Yep.
in the church when they should be the most talked about topic. Why? The problems that the world have today is because of sex and money.
True.
We're not teaching people that sex was created by God and should only be done in the confinement of what He approves. And so, people go, they experiment, they do all kind of stuff, and so we have the world that we have now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fallen world. It's the same with money. Money, right? Money is energy. Money is a gift. It's a subservient of you. Money shouldn't serve you, right? I mean, you shouldn't serve money. Money should serve you.
Right.
And as long as you're walking in your purpose, money will find you and serve you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it is that poverty meant that you were closer to God, why do we have so many poor, ungodly people? Why aren't they closer to God? It makes no sense, right?
No.
And so another thing too is you're expected to tithe for those people who tithe, right? You're expected to give generously. What are you going to give from if you don't have?
True.
If you look in the Jewish culture, none of their children have to work hard for anything, and some other cultures too. But that is one of the most the one that comes to mind immediately. That's because they always leave a legacy for their children. So they circumvent the whole process of hard work. The curse that came in the garden, that we should by the sweat of our brows eat and all of that, and then Cain had another curse because he killed his brother, so
Mm-hmm.
he was banned and became going from pillar to post, became a vagabond, and all of those are curses.
Yes.
When Jesus, right, was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he reversed the curse. So
Yes, he
one
did.
garden was a curse, the second garden was the reverse of that curse.
Mm-hmm.
So we should
Yes.
not be living under a curse when it comes on to money. This
No.
is why everything that God has given us is for us to serve others, and so others will serve us with money once we serve them. It's
Mm-hmm.
a byproduct, right? And it's important in marriage because you have to talk about finances. Who will handle the finances? Who will take it? Is it going to be a mutual thing? Because especially in our marriage where it was two different cultures collide at times and beliefs are different. So all
Yes.
of that has to be discussed before. Is it going to be a 50-50? Is it going to be 100-100? Is it going to be I stay at home and you take care of the stuff? But beyond that, how many life insurance are we going to have? what's going to happen? So these are the questions we don't talk about. What's going to
Yeah.
happen to you if what kind of life insurance are we going to buy? Are we going to buy one that we can pull money from if we get into some financial issues, or are we going to do the one that just covers burial? Is it going to be whole life, term life, or whatever? What kind of insurance? How many are we going to have? Does your job give you insurance? On that insurance at your job, who is the beneficiary? Is it me? Is it your mom? Is it your brother? What happened if you go before I do? Who should I talk to? Which other family member is second in line to me, or am I in line at all?
True.
And the same
True.
thing. The same thing. So money is very, very important in a marriage, right? We're not supposed to worship money, but you can't do without money. It's funny how some people tell you, I don't like money, but at the same time, they kill themselves on a 9 to 5, turn it into 9 to 10, right?
True.
And you're killing yourself. You have all kind of diseases because you can't rest. You're under stress, building somebody else's empire. So why are you working so hard for it if you don't like money?
Very true.
Why do you work for it? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to talk about bank accounts. How many am I going to have? One for myself outside of the mutual bank account that we're supposed to have together? Are we even going to have a joint account? How is all of this going to happen? How will our children survive if something happens to both of us? So now you have to have the both of us conversation. Will we leave something? Do we have a Roth IRA? Who is going to be the what you call it? Not the
Benefit.
beneficiary, but
The,
the person who's going to handle the estate if
the
something
estate
happens.
of it.
Yeah. Are we going
Who
to
has
hire
a
a lawyer?
who
Yeah.
has a 401? Let's talk about all this. But Joan, a lot of persons don't like talking about it because, well, I've heard women say, well,
Hmm.
I'm independent, I don't need anything from the man. If you're married, it's I don't know how everybody's situation is, but the independent situation where they don't want to discuss these things because they're quite independent and they don't need anybody for anything. But you're married to this person, so you're still gonna have to discuss it.
So if you don't need anybody, why are you married?
Listen to me, man.
Why are you married? Why don't you just be with yourself? You see, God did not create us to be independent beings, and put
Nope.
your stones down because I'm going somewhere with this. God did not create us to be independent, nor did He create us to be codependent. He
Mercy.
created us to be interdependent. So wherever you have a need, my solution is supposed to come and provide something for that. So if you're in a marriage and you're independent, there's something wrong with that line of conversation.
Yes.
Because then what else? So you're independent and you have your own money. So what are you then? Roomies? So you only there for the sex?
Yep. Apparently.
So because it's not making any sense. So yes, you can be making your own money, because in the book I talked about that. I was making the bulk of the money, because I am a business owner, multiple business owner. My husband liked working. He
Right.
loved call centers. We tried putting him in the business. It just was not his forte. And
And that's fine.
you
Hmm.
can't change people, because if we're all created in God's image, it means then that your strong suit in entrepreneurship, God has that. We saw that because He created everything. And a part of being an entrepreneur is knowing how to create stuff. But
Yes.
then obviously there's a part of Him that serves. That's why when He came in the form of man, when Jesus washed the disciples' feet, He's showing you that you still should serve. And so
Yes.
serving is your job as well, as long as you're doing it well. So all of who we are encompasses all of who God is. So God is not independent. That is why there is a Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Hmm.
Everything is biblical. So
Yes.
you can't be in a marriage and be independent. I'm not
Nope.
saying that you should, take your money and squander it on your spouse's ideas if that person is not,
It's not
doing the right.
reciprocated to
Yeah.
you. Hmm.
But at the same time, there has to be some level of interdependency. You need each other, or else why are you even married?
Why are you? You said something important, and I think a lot of persons are gonna pick up on it. So you said, for in the marriage, you made the bulk of the money.
Mhm.
Nothing is wrong with that,
No,
and I want you to explain that to people why nothing is wrong with that.
nothing is wrong with it, because when you come to the table as a couple, we
Hmm.
should each bring our table.
Yes.
right?
Please say that again.
Yeah,
Please don't.
we talk about bringing something to the table. No, bring
Mm-hmm.
your table. Bring your table. So my table has this, his table has that, right?
Right.
That we combine our tables. So from the get go, when I met my husband, he knew I was an entrepreneur. I made sure to bring him to Jamaica to show him where I grew up, what my life was. We actually met when I was still managing a few artists, so like Judith Gale and some other people. I was
Mm-hmm.
doing PR for like Kiki from Rising Stars, all of that. So he
Right.
saw that, he knew. I think that was one of the things that he was attracted to as well. He knew that I
Okay.
was about my business and about my
Okay.
money and about my coins.
Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't use the U.S. white picket fence to
Get you.
get me.
Nope. And
No,
he have been there, done that in the
yeah,
US.
been there, done that. So I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
impressed by that. But he was coming to the table as someone that I saw as a devoted man of God, and so that was his table. My entrepreneurial endeavors was my table, and so we combined our tables, as it were. So it is okay if you're a woman and you're making the bulk of the money, but you have to have a system in place. You have to have some kind of goal setting. Okay, I'm bringing in most of the money, but what is the husband going to do to kind of
Mm-hmm.
match that? What is his role? Because as the Bible says, the man is the head, right?
Right.
He is the leader of the home.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership doesn't mean the one who's making the most money. So because you're making the
Nope.
most money, sissy, don't make you the man in the relationship.
Oh, tell the truth.
Take your pants off and put your shirt on. It does not make you the man, because having more money is not leadership.
Nope, it's not.
It's not leadership, right? So that does not demasculate who he is because he's not making the same income as you are, right? You still have to submit to him. You still have to respect him as your husband, and you still have to allow him to be who he is in the relationship. So, I mean, that is fine. And I mean, the reverse is the same. Just because a
Mm-hmm.
man is making the bulk of the money doesn't mean he should laud it over his wife. He
Right.
has to give her room as the flower she is to
Yes.
operate in her own calling and, come together, because marriage is about, that's the thing. Marriage is man. If we do marriage well, nobody would be hype,
True.
because
Very
that thing
true.
can humble you all the way down to the
Yes,
ground.
don't talk about it. Don't talk
we
about
have
it.
to, yeah, we have to check our ego, leave our ego at the door, because at the end of the day, we are actually in a marriage with Christ.
Yes.
And so if both of you, your goal is to please God, then you cannot be trying to outdo each other.
Oi. Don't
It
say.
has, at the end of the day, it's about pleasing God. And so your actions should be pleasing to God. I used to tell my husband, whatever, anything happened, I would say, listen, you're not hurt me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
God, you're
Mm-hmm.
hurt. So get it right,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So when you look at it like that at the end of the day, we're both supposed to be pleasing in our roles to Christ. Because if the marriage is supposed to mirror God and the church, then he says he's coming back for a perfect bride. He's coming back for a bride without spot or wrinkle. It means then that we should always be maturing in the areas of immaturity. We should always be learning. We should always be washing our garment to make sure that we're pleasing Him. We should always be in worship. We should always make sure we're walking out the word. It's the same in your natural marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You should always do what you can to please each other, right? And so when you're working to please each other, then there is no room for anything else.
True.
And it's a process. It's not going to start out like that. It's a process. I mean, like you said, I did it twice. Lost in terms of divorce, lost
Yep.
in terms of death. So
Mm-hmm.
when I tell you, I got double D's, and I'm
Listen to me.
not impressed. I got double D's. I can tell anybody. I can tell anybody, right, what it means to have both a good and a bad marriage.
Yes.
Trust me. Yeah.
Yes. And for listeners out there who don't know what we're talking about, you can also find her first book on Amazon. That first will lay the foundation of then what's to come.
Yes. Yes.
You'll get a better understanding.
Bam bam bide, bam bam bide, badu bidi, bam bam bide, bam bam bide.